Okay, so we're going to go over just a couple of commands and then I'm going to give you time to work on your tutorials. So first, this one's we good? Yeah, this one's a review. So we already know how to do extrusions, right? So I could, for example, let's say I'm going to trace this cart. So I'm going to get it to about the right size. To get these rounded edges, I'm going to do something called fillet corners. And then I can tell it how much okay, first mistake, I didn't scale anything, right? So I should scale it first. So I'm going to type in scale, select my object, and then let's say the depth of this is about 2 feet. Okay, so now, because when it was asking me to fillet something, I had no idea how much to fillet it. So now I should be better off. Okay, so I'm going to grab this rectangle tool. I'm just tracing around here. I can change, let me change to this, change object layer. Okay, can you see the red a little bit better now? Okay, so I'm going to select this and fillet corners. And I'm going to do like, let's say 6 inches. And then that's going to give it that rounded corner. And then I would just go ahead and extrude this. So I can type in extrude curve. I'm going to extrude it. You kind of need to decide how like wide you want something to be, right? But I can maybe do 4 feet. This whole thing should be tilted up. So I'm going to take the whole thing, go to perspective view, and look in 3D, and then do a rotate 3D. And my rotation axis is on the bottom. I'm going to flip this straight up. Okay, so now I have the start of this cart, right? But there's still a lot more that's happening here. So the edges kind of look like they're filleted. So to do a fillet edge, you would do fillet edge. And then you would select the edges to fillet. So I'm going to select all these all the way around. And then you can set in here what the radius is. So maybe I need to do that ahead of time. Let me do that again. So next radius, I'm going to make this 4 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and select all those edges. And hit enter. And then that'll just round the side of it so it looks more car-like, right? I could do the same thing to the other side as well to do that. Next thing on this one, for all these shelves that are in the middle, there's different ways I could do it, but I could go ahead and make extrusions for them, so I could kind of determine a size that made sense. Here. Does anybody remember how I make this transparent from last time? Yep, up in properties, like little paint wheel. Yep, and the little paint squish paint tube. So I click on there and I can bring the object transparency up. Okay, so now I can see the curve I drew. So I can fillet these edges as well. Fillet corners. Maybe I only want to do like 1/2 inch. And then I can copy this. So I can type in copy, bring it down, and then I can copy a bunch of these. Once I have the first ones, I want to keep my spacing even, so I'm going to select those, type in copy, and then kind of use the one before as a reference point so that I know I'm keeping my spacing even. Okay, so I could select all of those, and then I could move them over so that it's a little bit more centered here, and then I can extrude those. And we're going to use a solid command for this. Does anybody remember what the solid commands are called? Yeah, so Boolean difference. I would select this as what I'm subtracting from. And then I would select all of these as what I'm subtracting with. And let's see, did it work? Maybe it didn't work, or maybe it did work. Let's see. I think I said this to save everything. So right, that like gets me those shelves that kind of go through. Okay, so those are the first couple things on our list. So extrusions, filleting edges. Pipe. Pipe we used last time, but we could certainly use it again. So I was thinking of pipe for these wheels, right? So I'm going to go back to front view here. And this, let's see, I'm going to go to this layer and lock this layer. So I want to get my circle first so that I know where my center is. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that circle in. And then I'm going to draw one line. Let me move this back so that we can see better. Hang on. Okay. So now that I have this circle here, I'm going to draw a line that goes from the center of that circle okay. I'm going to draw first the middle circle, so I'll bring that in. And then I'm going to draw a line that's going from the center of this circle straight up. And I'm going to trim it. So I'll type in trim, and I'm going to trim it with these cutting objects, and then I'm going to click on the parts I don't want anymore. And then rather than redoing that a bunch of times, I'm going to type in rotate. And I'm going to do copy yes. My center of rotation is going to be the center of the wheel. And then I can tell it, like, so if I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if I want 8 spokes, and I have 360 degrees, right? Let's do some math here. So 360 divided by 8. So I want them every 45 degrees. So I could type in 45, hit enter, and then 90, hit enter, and then what's 90 plus 45? 135, hit enter, 180. And then I can select these and just mirror them. So I can select those, type in mirror, and mirror them around the middle. So now I have like all my things set up for my spokes. And then to make these 3D, I can type in pipe. I can make my radius whatever I want, but let's say it's 1/2 inch. And then I'll just do end radius. And I could do that for each one. The only thing about pipe is that you do need to do it on each piece, which is a little bit tedious, but not the end of the world. And then for the wheel itself, I can either also make these a pipe, so I could do a pipe and just make it like a thicker one, like a 2 inch. And maybe do the same thing in here, but maybe this is only 1 inch. So now I've got like a little wheel going. Okay, so that was up to pipe. Okay, representing motion. How do we do that? So, I mean, I talked about that a little bit, but I would think about how I would just model things multiple times on different layers. So I'm trying to think of something that like is an easy thing. How about like a door, right? That's like easy enough. So if I were to draw a door is just an extrusion. So I'm going to go ahead and, anybody remember the typical width for a door? 3 feet. 3 feet. Okay, and I'm going to do 2 inches here, 3 feet this way. Anybody remember the typical height for a door? Very good, 7 feet. Okay. So if this is my door, let's say my full range of motion on this is 90 degrees. So I'm going to type in rotate. My center of rotation is going to be right here. I'm doing my copy, and I'm going to bring it this way. And then I could also do one like here and here, just explaining that motion. And then I can have these on a different, each of these on a different layer. I could just do these on a different layer. Change object layer. So that when I do this eventually, I could make these like kind of transparent, and maybe those aren't. So let's see if I'm going to select these and then go to my materials here. As under this. I'm going to make a custom material, and I'm going to give it some transparency. And maybe it needs some color here. Well, it's probably okay the way it is. Color. So now if I do rendered, like I can, and this maybe is red. Right, so I could do something like that where I'm kind of showing that this is all, like these are different positions that like help it move towards that. If I were doing a line drawing, these would probably be in dotted lines and then this would be a solid line. Or I could also trace the motion of it with a dotted line. There's different ways to show motion. But if you are going to draw something that like contracts and expands, I would recommend modeling it both ways. Like model it contracted, model it expanded. If you want to do it in between, you can. Just put them on different layers so that it's really easy to change their material and show them differently. Okay. Okay, next thing, offset. So this I think was talking about Wesley's now. So let's rotate and scale this one. So anybody remember the command to rotate this up? Rotate 3D. Rotate 3D, similar, yep. So going here, clicking here, popping it up. Okay, and now I'm going to look at this in front view. I'm going to move this over a little bit so we have some space. And okay. So I was just thinking for like these refrigerator doors and things, you might want to do an offset so you don't have to like draw every little thing. So if I'm drawing my door, right, and this time I'm not measuring right now, but you should measure. So that is still hard to see. Let's try green. If I trace my outside, I can do offset, and then I could do whatever that distance is. So if I click on distance here, I can click here and click there, and then click again, and that'll automatically give me the distance. Let's say this has like a glass door, right? So I could take these two, and I could extrude those out. So extrude curve, and give them some thickness. And then I could take the middle one, move it in a little bit to the middle, and then here I'm going to switch layers, and then I'm going to extrude this curve and make it less, so not extrude it quite as much. And then that way I can set the materials for these different, so like this could be whatever kind of wood it is, and then this could be glass in the middle. So you can start thinking about layers as materials or layers as a way to show that things are different. Okay. Revolve. That was for this piece, I think, right? So looking at this piece, I think I would do, this part could be a pipe, although I'm not sure if it'll let us do hard sides. Let's see. So if I trace them in the bit of this, right? And then if I do a pipe, let's see, diameter, output the surface, thick no, shape blending, fit rail. What if I do cap, flat, round? That's just the end of it, I think. So I think you do want flat. So I don't think it's going to give me like nice crisp corners. No, it did give me nice crisp corners. So that would, right, so that would give me kind of like the clean sharp corners. If you don't want them to be like that, you can use the tool we learned before. So I can copy this to the side and do a fillet. So I can take this and type in fillet corners, and then the radius, set distance point. Let's say it's from here to there. So I can kind of click and give it a radius. So I could do that ahead of time. And now if I pipe this, it'll be much smoother. So you decide like what kind of look you're going for there. And then for a revolve, right here, I'm tracing the outside of this, and this looks like circles basically, so I would just draw it as circles. Like you can draw one, and then if you copy it, you can keep them all exactly the same. And then I can trim all these. So I can select these, type in trim. I'm going to cut this off here. And then I can join these together. If you don't want these to be super thick in between, like super sharp, you can do another fillet corners. Fillets are great for just smoothing things out. So like even that much. And then I can take this and revolve it. And the revolution axis would be like in the middle of this. And then 0 to 360, and then that would make that little handle. Okay, next thing on here, pipe we've been talking about already. Okay, patch. So this is a new one that we haven't done yet. When I look at the top of this, I think a patch makes sense for that. So how I would build this is I would start in plan. So I would do a rectangle and then offset it to the inside. So like the bottom is kind of the bottom is like this part, and then the top is this part, right? So I'm going to click on distance and make it a little bit bigger so there's a bigger difference for you to see here. Okay, let me zoom in on all these. Zoom, all selected. Okay, I'm going to move this one up. And then I'm going to use my actually I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to draw just a line from here to here. Okay, and so, but I want this to be curved, right? Like it's supposed to have a little scoop. So now I'm going to grab this tool, and then I want to see if I can use this line to kind of help me from getting off. Let's see. Hang on. I think I need like another line here. How do I undo this? Okay, I'm going to extrude this curve down. So now I have a plane that goes like exactly where I want it to go. And I'm going to draw on this surface. So if I click on here, I can click on this one is interpolate curve on surface. I select my surface to draw on, and then I can click here, click anywhere on here that's kind of in the middle, and then click there. And that is probably too curvy. So let me change that a little bit. So again, I'm clicking on here, getting my interpolate curve on surface. That's my surface. Click here, click here, and then click here. So it's just got like a little wag to it. Then I can delete that line. Okay, so I can mirror this. So I'm going to type in mirror. I'm going to mirror it this way. And then also mirror it this way. The more symmetry you have, the easier it gets, because whenever something's symmetrical, you only have to model half of it and then you can mirror it. Okay, and then I want to make each of these sides. So I'm going to type in patch, and then it says select curves, points, point clouds, and meshes to fit surface through. So I'm going to select all of these lines, and first we're going to try this and see if it works. If not, we're going to do it a different way. So I click preview, and like that's too crazy, right? Like that doesn't work for us because it's doing that weird thing on the top. So we probably want the top just to be a planar surface, and then the bottom to be different. So I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to explode this, and then I'm going to select this and type explode. Explode. So I can select one thing at a time. Then I type patch. I'm going to select this curve, this curve, this curve, this curve, and hit enter. And so I'm just doing one side at a time. And then same thing over here. Sorry? do it all at once. When I did the whole thing at once, it was like making the top look funky. So I was doing those one at a time because I don't know how to like deselect the top. Sorry? You could trim the top part instead, yeah. You could do that. Would that take as long? It might be faster. I don't know. I like that. Like the thing I like about this is that each of these is kind of its own thing that now I can like, um, I can change the color of, I can move. Yeah, but like you could try it the other way too. So if I had all these lines, right? So I could take this and copy it over. So let's see what it looks like if we do it that way. So if I delete these and then I rejoin, oops. So I'm going to rejoin all of these except the corners, right? Actually, there's a couple different ways I could do this. I could also do this as a sweep, I think. So I think I could do a sweep too. And then I could say this is my first rail, this is my second rail, and then this is my sweep shape. And then hit OK. And I think, no, it got a little bit weird. Well, no, maybe that's okay. I thought it might have gotten weird on this corner. It gets a little weird at the corners, right? It's not sweeping perfectly on that. Okay, so sweep doesn't work so well. Let's try that one more time and see if there's another setting though. So if I do this rail, this. So it says do not change cross-section curves, edge continuity. So if I say maintain height, is that looking, so let's see how that looks. I could rebuild cross sections. I don't think that's going to help me. Okay, so that didn't work so well. So we're going to try to just do a patch for all of this. So I select all of this and do patch. Yeah, even the sides of this though, they just look, well, they're kind of fun though. They look more like elephanty, right? But I could do that, and then if I want the top flat, I could draw a plane here. So I could take this, draw a plane at this level, and then extrude it, and just make sure it goes all the way through. And then I could select this, type in trim, and then chop off the top. And then since I know this should be a planar surface, I can do planar surf, and then I could select like the top of this edge, and that'll make it have a flat top. So that'd be another way to do it. So there's always like, 20 ways to build things. You just kind of just feel like what's comfortable for you and like what gives you the result you like the best, but they're all pretty similar. Okay, next one on the list. Let's see. I think we're getting there. Okay, we did revolve, pipe, sweep. We actually just went over sweep. Sorry? Yeah. So let's look at sweep. I was thinking of sweep for this piece. So I'm thinking for this piece, right? Let's say you draw out the shape in a way that you like. And this is in perspective right now, right? But let's say that I'm drawing it and it has some kind of, hang on. So first it looks like the back is pretty flat. But then the side kind of has some like curve to it. And I don't know exactly what it wants to look like. That can be played with, right? So I'm mirroring this across so that it's symmetrical. Then I'm going to join these. I'm going to fillet the corners to get rid of like that kind of, there's a really sharp point here. So I'm going to do fillet corners. If I can spell it ever. Okay, fillet corners, and then I'm going to give it like that much distance, just so it has a little curve there. Okay, and then I'm going to join all that together. So I can now take this and I can put the points on. Let me move this to the side so we can see better. Right now this is totally flat, but it doesn't have to be flat. Like I can change where the pieces are vertically, right? So I'm going to select this and type points on. And then that gives me the control points. So I can also add more control points. If this is not enough, I could take the curves and rebuild them. So I could select all of these and type in rebuild curve. I could say, okay, I really want this to have like 25 points. And then hit OK. And that just gives me more points to play with. But I think it looked better before. Okay, so then I can take these and move them. So like this can move down so that it kind of curves down. And then maybe these kind of swoop in a little bit. And then maybe this swoops back down. So it's starting to have like a little bit of curvature to it. So now that I have this shape, I can do two things. I can either patch this, which might be fine the way it is. And so patch is doing okay, but it's kind of giving me like a big dip here, which I don't know if I like. Let's see if, can we undo adjust tangency? Yeah, that's still doing that. So, you know, if I don't like that result, I can hit cancel. And then I could explode this. And then that gives me back this line. And we can do a sweep 2. So I can type in sweep 2, select my first rail, select my second rail, and then select this as my sweep shape, and then hit OK. And that'll give me kind of a more clean, simple shape there than the patch did. And then once I have this, if I want to give it thickness, I can type in offset surf and make it like 2 inches or whatever, and then that'll give it some thickness. Okay, so that was sweep. And then loft. So loft would be another way to do this. So I'm going to steal my curves back. So I'm going to copy this over, delete this. I'm going to project this to C-plane and delete my input objects. Okay, so let's say that I have this piece and I want to loft it instead. I could split my back piece as well. So I'm going to take this, split by this, and then I want to join this. So now that I have my two side pieces, I want to have also represent like what it looks like from the front and sides. So this is here. I'm going to move it out of the way so I can see better. And I can give it a different look here. So maybe here it's going to come straight up, and then it has some kind of a thickness and comes down. And then I could do a different shape on the bottom. Maybe it comes down, it comes up. It looks kind of like a whale right now. I don't know why I'm doing that, but it is what it is. Okay. And so these two, I want to make sure that they are moved so that this point is going to be, oh, I'm looking it in the wrong direction completely. Will that work anyway? Nope. Okay. I'm supposed to be looking at it from the side. My bad. Okay. So let's try that again. So I'm over here. I'm going to grab my interpolate term. I'm going to come up. And then maybe this needs a little adjustment. But I could give it some kind of shape on top. I could give it some kind of shape on bottom. Join those. Okay. So now if I bring this back to these pieces, I should be able to do a loft between these four. So if I type in loft, I can select this one. Then you need to make sure you go in order. So this one, then this one, then this one. I hit enter. And I want to change this to, why can it only do straight sections? It's not letting me preview it. I don't think it liked it. One, but not some, but not all the curve endpoints touch. Okay, so I need to fix it so that all the curve endpoints touch. Okay, try again. I'm wondering if this one doesn't touch either. Okay. So be more careful than me when you do this. Make sure that all your curve endpoints are touching. Okay, let's try that. Are these all touching now? Nope, that one needs to touch. Okay, I think they're all touching now. So loft, this one, this one, this one, this one. Nope, it hates it. So it's having the same issue where it says that they're not all touching. But they look like they're all touching to me. Okay, let's do the opposite thing. Let's have none of them touch. So I'm going to move this one. I'm going to move this out. Move this out. Move this down. Move this up. Okay, so now I'm going to do a loft. Let's see, last try, and then I give up on this one, and we'll do a more basic loft. And then close loft. And then, okay, right, so I could start to make some kind of form that way. That could be some weird top thing. I don't know. That one's a little wacky. But there might be other things you need to use the loft for. Like if you make a seat, you could use it for like anything cushiony or organic on there. Yeah. Okay, loft, and then extrusions. Extrusions we've already talked about.